Thank you, Dave. Good evening, everybody. TSN, the exclusive broadcaster of the Canadian Football League and proud home of the Grey Cup, the 2009 Grey Cup Classic here at McMahon Stadium. And to quote Jermaine Copeland, it looks like Christmas at McMahon. So much red and green in the stands as the Roughriders and the Stampeders lock horns on a sensational night in Calgary. Temperature a warm 30 degrees, a light breeze, which should not be a factor tonight. Ken Miller's Roughriders trying to put the brakes on a two-game losing streak at 2-2 on the year. And on the other sideline, John Hufnagel's Stamps have won 2 straight in convincing fashion over Toronto and BC. So both teams 2-2. The winner pulls into a first-place tie with Edmonton in the West.
Calgary Stampeders getting that offense going, scoring 92 points over those last 2 wins. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders have to bounce back from that come-from-behind win by the Edmonton Eskimos at Mosaic a week ago.
First of 3 meetings this year. Last year they split 4 regular season tilts. And this is Jerron Walker up across the 35. And he'll be tossed down right there. Justin Phillips with the special teams tackle. As Darian Durant gets set to lead the offense out. We may see something different tonight as the offense going to huddle up on the sidelines on change of possessions.
As the panel mentioned, Darian Durant will start the game, but Ken Miller told the media yesterday that unless he lights it up, we may see Stephen Giles even in this first quarter. There's the receiving core. No Andy Fantus. He is a late scratch here, and Gene Makowski, 238th game for the veteran back in that offensive line.
Starting lineup brought to you by Nissan, fan and proud sponsor of the CFL. Wes Cates, the lone running back, and Cates gets the ball off the right side. Big hole, his biggest run of 2009, crashing up to the 52, and we mentioned in the pregame show, he's the focal point of how Saskatchewan can improve.
He's in the backfield in the shotgun right behind Darian Durant, and Ken Miller told us yesterday that he actually had a meeting this week with Wes Cates and basically laid it on the line, said he needs more production out of the tailback position.
17 for a guy who comes into the game with just 65 yards on the ground in his first 2 starts. Now they throw it out far side. Weston Dressler gets to the edge and gets close to another Roughrider first down. And is there a penalty marker on the play as he's taken out heavily at the Roughrider bench?
A heated rival getting off to a good start out of the gate.
At the end of the play, major foul, Calgary number 33. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Dwight Anderson.
Dwight Anderson's been involved in a few headlines over the last week when he got in a pushing match with a teammate in BC. Talked to John Hufnagel about Dwight Anderson, says he's a good teammate, but he plays right on that edge.
So it's a 24-yard play, 9 on the Dressler catch and 15 on the penalty. Play action fake. Durant on a roll. Open man is Getzlaff. And he's jarred out by Anderson. Close to another first down.
Let's take a look at the Calgary defense, and we do know what you're talking about, Willis. That's Odell Willis on the defensive line with 5 sacks, 4 in the last 2 games. He has really emerged as a star rush end. There is the linebacking core, Shannon James. Late addition, weren't sure if Shannon James would be ready. And Brandon Brown become a real hitter at that corner position.
Roughriders have 1 first possession touchdown this year, looking at 2nd and 1, and Cates will have the first down and game tackled at the 20-yard line.
We talked about Wes Cates and Ken Miller talking about the production at that tailback spot and how important it is, especially for a quarterback like Darian Durant. If you're a guy like Ricky Ray in the pocket passer, even like Henry Burris here against Calgary Stampeders, that's one thing. But with Darian Durant, a run game is huge for him to get on the edge.
Roughriders marching first down at the Calgary 20. Looks one way, then the other, and dumps it over the middle. Jerron Walker scampers down to the 10. And another first down play for the speedy wideout who got into the heavy traffic and found some room.
Ken Miller also told us that he may put Steven Giles in the game if Darian Durant plays the way he's played a little inconsistently over the last couple of weeks. However, he did say if he has a hot hand early, that he'll leave him in the game. And right now, Darian Durant has a hot hand.
Giles watches. Durant's got them driving. First and goal. A lot of motion. Fake to Cates, who provides a block into the end zone. Touchdown. Chris Getzlaff, and the Riders hit pay dirt early.
Darian Durant gets to the outside and is allowed to do what he does best, and that's throw on the run with his eyes up. He's in the backfield. You can see him in the shotgun right here. Full roll on the play action. Now he's to the outside and has the edge. What he has is the option to run or pass. He has an open Getzlaff for the touchdown, his first of the season.
Six-play drive, 75 yards, capped by the Kanji convert. Nice start for the Roughriders.
Love the play call by the Saskatchewan Roughriders on this because it gives Darian Durant three options. Go ahead and run it, guys. Dressler's coming from the left of the formation to the right. Now, Durant gets the corner. I want to show you his options. He's got Dressler, number one, just out of your screen there. Getzlaff there, two. And number three right here is for Durant to go ahead and run for the touchdown. Three options on the edge for Darian Durant. He finds Getzlaff, option number two.
Chris Getzlaff drawing in with the game-time scratch of Andy Fantuz because of a hamstring problem, and he makes an early impact here. There's Titus Ryan on the return, and he's tripped up. Kai Stewart's been a special teams demon for the Roughriders and makes another tackle, and Henry Burris heads out for his 12th career start against his old team.
And he will have Joffrey Reynolds in the backfield coming off a big game for Reynolds, 131 yards against the BC Lions in that win. There's the receiving corps, no Kenyon Rambo, as the panel talked about in the pregame show. And the offensive line, second game in a row now that they've started, third game that they've got their starting group in there.
Nick Lewis back in after missing last week. Joffrey Reynolds as the Stamps try to get something going on the ground early, and Stevie Baggs makes a play defensively.
One change for the Riders on the defensive line. Joe Sykes comes in at rush in for John Chick. And then in the linebacking core, a group that leads the entire defense in tackles, led by Ray Williams in the middle, Tad Cornegay and Sean Lucas, more cover-style linebackers. And in the secondary, the veteran Eddie Davis playing in his 225th game at halfback.
Four for Reynolds, 2nd and 6. Burris with time, and now the pocket collapses, and he's running, and he is nailed, and Stevie Baggs right there again, making sure Henry Burris doesn't get to the first down stick.
Just mentioned how Tad Cornegay and Sean Lucas are cover-style linebackers. Cornegay is right here, number 24. Henry Burris wants to get the ball to Joffrey Reynolds here, number 21, who comes out of the backfield. And he just comes down and sits down, and there's Cornegay that jumps in, and there they are right there. You can see the coverage. Henry Burris can't get it to him, so he has to pull it down. And when he does, the Riders end up getting there.
So a 2-and-out to start, and Jerron Walker, the fourth different punt returner utilized by the Roughriders here in the first 5 weeks of the season, awaits a punt from Burke Dales. And we've got a time count
violation. Calgary, number 16, 5-yard penalty, and remains third down.
Well, the Stamps won't be happy about that, but that will not be the most costly time count violation of the day in the Canadian Football League.
Not a big deal, although John Huffnagel doesn't like the lack of focus early on, and it right now looks like the Riders have the jump in their step.
There's Walker taking it on the fly, 42-yard line. Trying to kick it outside, and he is dropped at the 48. Brandon Browner, the gunner, one of the men downfield. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, doing it right since 1939. Just shy of the 5-minute mark of the opening quarter here at McMahon. The stadium sold out tonight, and the folks who came a little late missed an impressive opening 75-yard touchdown drive by the Roughriders. Have the lead and have the football at the 48 and put it back into the hands of Wes Cates off the left side, and he powers close to midfield. 6 for Cates. And Darian Durant knows that Stephen Giles is waiting in the wings, but the plan to get Giles in the game not necessarily written in stone.
No, it's not. And if Darian Durant has the hot hand, Ken Miller said he'll leave him in. And that first drive, boy, he had a hot hand.
2nd and 4. Over the middle, Weston Dressler can't hold on. Ronnie Amati was there in coverage.
Tied with Devonzo Tate and tackles in the secondary. Ronnie Amati in real good coverage. That's not a play that you put in the error category for Darian Durant as a mistake, anything like that. The ball is where it had to be, but that was just good defensive coverage by Ronnie Amati. See, Darian Durant was saying next time we might post it and go deep on him because he's going to go that hard on an intermediate route. Or maybe something that can develop from that.
Jamie Boromon, last week net punting 26.1 yards as Tristan Jackson had a big game for the Eskimos against Saskatchewan. Here's Titus Ryan. He takes a heavy jolt. That one echoed all around McMahon. 46-yard punt, 9 on the return until he hit a wall.
That baby registered on some Richter scales in Calgary. Bam.
And I think it's Stevie Baggs again.
Oh, yeah.
So the Stampeders looking for their initial first down of the game. And Burris, a quick header that almost picked off. Stevie Baggs up in the air. He's already got one interception this year. Ken Miller told us yesterday he thought Stevie Baggs just got worn out last week, but he looks fresh so far tonight.
Well, Stevie Baggs in the stand-up position, and if not for Ben Archibald right there, the tackle, he has an interception as well. He takes a step, realizes it's a quick throw, so he knocks it down, and then Ben Archibald becomes defensive back.
You're right, good defensive play by Archibald to prevent an interception. And it's 2nd and 10. And that ball is complete. That's the 2,000th completion in the career of Henry Burris, and Nick Lewis is back in the Stampeders offensive scheme after missing his first game in his career last week.
Yeah, they lose Kenyon Rambo in the starting lineup, but they do get Nick Lewis back, and that's important for Henry Burris. Inside receiver, gets those tough yards and those first down catches when they need him. So he's a little nicked still, but Nick Lewis back in there, and Henry Burris is happy about it.
Gain of 12. Lewis now 4 catches shy of 400 in his career and closing in on 6,000 yards. Titus Ryan just tripped up by the veteran corner Omar Morgan. Let's check in with Jermaine Franklin on the sidelines.
Thanks, Chris. The past 2 seasons coming into this one, Jermaine Copeland has had to scratch, fight, and claw his way to remain on the roster. Copeland made a lot of sacrifices just to remain a Stampeder. This year was a little different. Huffnagel said the job was his to lose, meaning the pressure that was on Copeland was the pressure he put on himself to be better, and it's worked. He said to me that 2009 was going to be his year. So far, he's right. 4 touchdowns already, and the timing couldn't be better considering Rambo out for the season.
2nd and 4, play action fake, and now dumped off and incomplete out of the reach of Nick Lewis.
Well, both receivers, Jermaine Copeland and Nick Lewis, so important to this offense, have been over the last couple of years, but now with Kenyon Rambo out of the lineup for the entire season, they become more important to the offense in key situations like that. And Henry Burris just barely missed Nick Lewis. Henry Burris will look to those two inside receivers to move the chains.
So the Rough Rider defense that has given up the most points through the first 4 weeks of the year, looking tough tonight. And Calgary has to boot it away. And again, Walker takes it on the fly, wants to reverse his field. Nothing doing there, but he just got spun down when it looked like it was opening up. But Brandon Browder, as he so often does, makes the tackle on the cover team. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. 6:10 left first quarter. The Rough Riders will scrimmage from their own 38-yard line. Big Gene Mikowski back in at left guard for the first time this year. Playing in game number 238, tied for third on the all-time Rough Rider list. Durant looks a couple of ways, and Odell Willis has the sack. A league-leading 6th quarterback sack. And he didn't even play in game 1.
Yeah, 2 sacks in the last 2 games per game, so 4 in total for Odell Willis. 5 sacks, this is his 6th. And ever since he moves from inside to that outside quick end or rush end position, he has flourished.
76.
Loss of 3. He's wearing a new watch for his performance last week in BC. 2nd and 13. Durant rolls, now looks downfield, and an open man gets left. With his 2nd catch of the game, came in with only 2 on the season.
I don't know about you, Chris, but I thought it was quite refreshing that Ken Miller didn't show any paranoia or anything like that in explaining his plan for the quarterbacks, and that he may put Stephen Giles in the game at some point, even if Darian Durant isn't playing poorly. He wants Durant to look from the sideline. I thought it was refreshing that he has the confidence to be able to tell people his plans so they don't have to speculate as to why he may have pulled Durant out of the game.
Wanted both quarterbacks to know exactly what was happening, but again, it's not etched in stone. Wes Cates wide open, still going, and finally wrestled up by Amati. They'll mark him down at the 23-yard line. 38-yard rough. Wes Cates is back.
And maybe the offensive line, Chris, for the Saskatchewan Roughriders is back. With Gene Mikowski, Joe Bell out there. Look at the hole that opens up the right side of that offensive line for Wes Cates. He is untouched till he gets deep into the secondary.
Roughriders threatening, 5 receivers. Looks far side. Oh, that is picked off. Dwight Anderson, 3rd consecutive game that the Stampeder corner has an interception.
Dwight Anderson is going to bait Rob Bagg here right at the top on the corner as he sits, doesn't backpedal at all, sits on it, waits on it, and then jumps that crossing route or dig route, what it's called on offense. That's film study from Dwight Anderson. He baited Rob Bagg into thinking that he was going to stay back, didn't move, and then jumped the throw.
3rd interception of the year. He had just 2 all of last season. And again, a topic of discussion after that unexpected shoving match in the end zone last week with Devonzo Tate after a BC touchdown.
That's John Huffnagel about that.
Calgary to work. That zone read play action fake deep. Ryan Thelwell's got it. What a year Ryan Thelwell is having for the Calgary Stampeders.
Interesting note in the game notes on Ryan Thelwell, the Calgary Stampeders, that over 80%, actually 84% of Ryan Thelwell's catches as a Calgary Stampeder have been for first downs. And this is a first down and then some.
45 yards, that's his biggest play of the season, the 36-year-old veteran. from London, Ontario. A little fake by Burris, but he's wrapped up and tossed down. There's the middle linebacker, Ray Williams.
Ray Williams lines up in what's called the beat gap between the guard and the tackle, and then ends up looping around and coming through the middle.
So both teams have a sack here in the opening quarter. And it's 2nd and 13. 4 receivers to the wide side. Time for Burris. Is anybody open? Time running out. Now downfield. And it's caught. Jermaine Jackson with the catch. Close to the first down stick. Too many steamboats for Henry Burris.
Tremendous offensive line play for the Calgary Stampeders to allow Burris to scan the entire field from left to right, from short to deep. Just going to play up front. The big boys just lock it down. 4-man pressure for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but you can see Burris look to his left first. Didn't see anything there. He moved around, bought a little time, and finally a receiver opens up for him. Jermaine Jackson.
Jackson, who had a team-high 5 catches last week against the BC Lions, a touchdown in that game. And Henry Burris mentioning yesterday, he has a lot of confidence in this big target, physical receiver. And he called him a brainiac, a guy who's already absorbed the offense and can play a couple of different positions. And will be called upon more now with the injury to Kenyon Rambo. So it's 1st and 10 at the Roughrider 34. Joffrey Reynolds heading north. And dragged down at the 11-yard line by the safety, James Patrick.
Boy, Jesse Newman and Ben Archibald, the left side of the offensive line, opens up a nice lane for Joffrey Reynolds. Here they are right there. There's Newman, there's Archibald. Watch how they come down, blocking in this direction. When they do, just slide down the line to their right. That backside, now that's where Joffrey Reynolds hits it. Stevie Baggs stays wide to contain Henry Burris, and that hole is huge.
131 yards last week after only 97 in the first 3 games. 23 on that ramble, and this time they fake it, and here's John Cornish, touchdown!
Yeah, baby. Boy, when the running game's working, the play action is sweet.
Stampeders score again after a turnover and are a convert away from tying.
Take a look at play action here from Joffrey Reynolds and how it will influence all the white jerseys. Sliding down to 21, leaving Cornish wide open.
Sandro DeAngelis ties the score. 92 seconds left first quarter here. And this one living up to the anticipation of a Saskatchewan-Calgary matchup.
And points off turnovers for the Calgary Stampeders. Remember, this started with the Dwight Anderson interception and ends with play action. When your running game is going well, and both Wes Cates and Joffrey Reynolds have had some success here early in this game. Boy, play action then influences the defense in a big way. There is no one around John Cornish until James Patrick from the safety spot comes up, but it's way too little too late.
Right, a New Westminster, BC with the touchdown capping a 5-play, 89-yard drive after the Dwight Anderson interception.
Boy, it's fun to watch when quarterbacks can fake those handoffs in the middle and have success running so that they can get more time to throw. That long time that Henry Burris had to Jermaine Jackson to keep the drive alive and then finishing it with John Cornish. That was picture-perfect drive from the Calgary offense.
Coming into the game, the 2 most opportunistic teams in the league, scoring the most points off turnovers through the opening 4 weeks, and Calgary adds to its league-leading total with that touchdown. There's Walker back again. He's looked dangerous on kick return so far tonight to the 36-yard line, and brought down there by Rob Cote, the pride of Cochrane, Alberta.
Ken Miller said it may be the first quarter that we see Stephen Giles. Now, after a 4-for-4 opening drive by Durant, he slowed down a little bit the remainder of this first quarter, and you wonder if Ken Miller is getting that itchy trigger finger.
Said he'd give Durant 2 or 3 series, and then Stephen Giles might get a look unless Darian Durant was red hot. This could be a key series, and that pass dumped over the middle looking for Cates is incomplete.
See John Cornish's touchdown, how play action helped him get so wide open. Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders had the same kind of success. This is how they started the game. Nice run by Wes Cates up the middle or just off tackle. Once they established that success on the run, you see Durant in that first touchdown drive. Now he uses play action to his advantage. He has lots of time and lots of options. Boy, it's fun to watch when offenses are clicking like that.
2nd and 10. Dumped off Cates. And he stopped short of the first down. Dwayne Carpenter, first man to meet the former Stampeder, Wes Cates. And suddenly it starts to get a little blustery here at McMahon. Mentioned how great a night it looked like about a half hour, 45 minutes ago, but we might have a storm blow in.
This is Calgary, and it could change in a heartbeat.
Threatening skies here in the foothills all of a sudden. And Jamie Borum hopes that wind gusting might help him improve his punt average here. Pressure. Line drive boot that'll bounce. And Titus Ryan back at his 4. And he won't reach the 10-yard line and fumbles the football. And DeMonzo Tate gets on it first for Calgary.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's a beautiful night, raining, cloudy, snowing. It doesn't matter in this matchup. When Saskatchewan plays the Calgary Stampeders, it's going to be a sellout. It's going to be a full crowd, McMahon Stadium, and there's going to be 2 different colors. Red on one side and green on the other. And when you're talking about the big games, the rivalry games, this is one of them. Calgary will play, of course, Edmonton on Labor Day. If you haven't got your tickets here in Calgary for that one yet, you better hurry up because they're going fast. And this park has been sold out.
And for the last 2 or 3 years, this has taken on a Labor Day feel here in Calgary when the Saskatchewan Roughriders come to town. So the Stamps start deep at their own 5. Joffrey Reynolds territory takes the toss, and not much there off the right side. Maybe a couple to the 7.
Now, of course, in football, if it rains, you don't stop a game or delay it, but lightning, you could. We'll see what happens.
That's the final play of the opening quarter here under a threatening sky now at McMahon. Tie game. First quarter stats brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
Even Steven, when you look at it, both Saskatchewan and Calgary almost identical in the time of possession, almost identical in first downs. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders had that early good drive, 4-for-4, Darian Durant, and then Henry Burris had a good drive of his own. He got Joffrey Reynolds involved. Nice play action to John Cornish for that touchdown.
Boy, Calgary's been lethal when they've created turnovers this year, now with 82 points off turnovers. But you say this weather should impact the way both teams approach the last 3 quarters.
Well, absolutely, because they want to keep that offensive momentum while they can, because if it gets real ugly out here, obviously tougher to handle the football.
So this is a big play. 2nd and 9 for the Stamps. And the hitch, Nicholas looking for first down. And he's got a little breathing room for the Stampeders offense as we batten down the hatches here at McMahon.
Well, those gusts of wind are going to be tough for the quarterbacks, and they go back to the quick game here as Henry Burris does to Nick Lewis. High percentage throw, he can just get it out there quickly, because with this gust of wind, you never know what it'll do to the football in flight.
Taken to Reynolds on a roll. Burris pulls it down, and he'll hit the deck in front of Donovan Alexander.
Sometimes, Chris, it's hard to tell how windy it is, but it's coming strong, and then it'll gust, and we've had to lower one of our cameras just for safety reasons
And if anybody in Drumheller finds a camera, it's probably ours.
Batten down the hatches and hang on.
So my weather forecasting, not much better than my
It's about as good.
prognostications of perfect seasons. Not perfect weather right now, that's for sure. Second and short, a flag thrown on the play, and another one now in that pile.
They're saying 50-kilometer winds right now and gusting higher than that. That flag that was thrown ended up about 30 yards away from where it was thrown.
At game time, it was a gentle 6K breeze.
Once again, and you will not stop or delay.
Saskatchewan, number 90. 5-yard penalty.
Stevie
First
Baggs
down.
lined up offside. No wonder John Corder scored. He played at Kansas. He's comfortable with all this.
Well, you won't delay a game for rain, and you won't stop a game for rain. But if there's any thunder that ends up turning into thunder and lightning, when there is lightning, we've taken breaks. You send the players for safety reasons to the locker room.
And the folks at Mosaic know all about that.
Absolutely.
First down after the penalty, and problem with the shotgun snap. Burris got away from Baggs. And throws a pass complete. There's Thorwell. Safety valve again.
Stevie Baggs got mesmerized by the football there because he had Henry Burris in the backfield but was looking at the football trying to strip it. Burris gave him a pump fake.
Late flag well after the play. Ray Williams was involved with somebody on that Calgary offensive line.
Major foul, face mask. Saskatchewan, number 48. 15-yard penalty. First down.
And draws the 15-yard penalty. Remember, Calgary started at their own 5, and now the ball is at the Saskatchewan 48.
This is that play where Henry Burris, the penalty is called after the snap of the football, and Burris getting outside. He bought some time.
15 for Thelwell, 15 on the penalty, and this play doesn't get off.
Procedure. Calgary, number 67. 5-yard penalty remains. First down.
Second-year right guard, Dimitri Sumpas. Moved too soon.
Well, the wind will also make it tougher for the offensive line and not necessarily receivers. They'll look at the ball, but certainly the offensive line to hear the snap count.
Mark back 5, first and 15. Little play fake and dumped off. Nick Lewis with a one-handed grab, and Eddie Davis there right away. Lewis closing in on 400 catches, and a few of them have been a one-handed variety.
This is smart by George Cortez to call these type of plays in these weather conditions. Gusting winds up to 50 kilometers an hour. He's really shortened up the passing game.
Got 5 and back to the original line of scrimmage, so it's second and 10. And Burris looks to the sidelines. Brett Ralph there. Ralph trying to get to the first down stick. And does.
Henry Burris guns it out there. Now this wind is behind him, so it may have aided this throw a little bit, but this is the wide side of the field. It's about a 45-yard, 50-yard throw, and he guns it to Brett Ralph.
And in second and long, the Stampeders have converted four times already in this game. And here's Reynolds. Look at Joffrey Reynolds. Pick holes. Another first down. Right to the 20.
And just a little change of direction, just a little shuffle in the hole for Joffrey Reynolds there. His big run in that drive that ended up in the John Cornish touchdown, he was accelerating through the holes, and you see that nice little slide back into the middle. Bought him another 5, 6, 7 yards.
Already chewed up 85 yards on the drive and have a first down at the Roughrider 20. 4 minutes into this second quarter. Back to Reynolds, big hole. Joffrey Reynolds has a first down just inside the 10.
You know, one thing that the Saskatchewan Roughriders defensively, they fooled some teams early on in the season with their different type of lineup on the defensive line and in the front seven. And in the last couple of games, offenses have started to get wise to it. They've started to run the ball successfully, started to get good blocking angles against it. This is a good game, or a good series called by George Cortez once again.
Reynolds, 5 carries, 53 yards. The Roughriders have surrendered 130 yards rushing per game. Another shotgun snap problem. And Burris has to eat it back at the 18-yard line.
Shotgun snap for Lazio into the wind. Because for him, it's into the wind. For Henry Burris, it's behind him. And is this snap affected? A little bit high there from Lazio. And smart play by Burris to just fall on it, rather than try and scoop it up and make something out of nothing.
So now second. And goal down to the 5-yard line. Copeland with the catch. It'll be 3rd and goal from the 5.
This is a passing play, but let me just show you that defense. We talked about it quite a bit throughout the first 4 weeks of the season. And again, 1, 2, 3 in the stack in here, 1, 2 outside, and then there finishes off that front 7. But that's unorthodox when it comes to defenses. This is a passing play, but offenses are starting to figure it out a little bit, and they're having success certainly running the ball, but there was a completion for Burris, just a little short.
So that problem with the shotgun snap helps end the drive, and DeAngelis comes on. Trying to stay perfect on the year and give Calgary the lead. Long Stampeder drive and a field goal gives them a 10-7 advantage. Back at blustery McMahon Stadium, let's join Jermaine Franklin.
Thanks, Chris. With me is Scott Ackles, president of the Stampeders. Scott, Grey Cup is almost around the corner now. Can you talk a little bit about the ticket sales?
Well, you know what? We're almost sold out. We've only got just under 1,000 tickets left, Jermaine, and we're 119 days away from the event, so we're going to sell it out pretty quickly. So I just want to give everybody a reminder: if you haven't got your tickets yet, go to Ticketmaster.ca, and they're going to be snapped up pretty quick. So.
Now, there might be a little bit of a taste. Nothing's the Grey Cup, but a little bit of a taste of what it will be like on Labor Day, right?
Oh, Labor Day is going to be outstanding. We've almost sold that event out as well, as it typically always does. But we're looking at increasing our capacity here for that game, potentially to another 5,000 seats. So it's going to be another big game here in Calgary, of course, Labor Day Classic.
We appreciate this, Scott.
Thanks so much. Happy birthday, Jimbo.
Yeah, get your tickets quick, and Stephen Giles will get his opportunity here in the second quarter.
So according to the game plan, Durant on the sidelines for a series or 2 at least. Let's see what Giles can do. Play action fake, pressure from Carpenter, and the pass intended for Getzlaf is incomplete. Well, tough for Giles here going into this little gale that has blown up.
Yeah, I'm sure Stephen Giles is saying, yeah, I was looking forward to my opportunity, but does it have to be in this quarter when I'm going into the 50-kilometer wind? There's a number for Darian Durant, who we will probably see again before this game is over. For now, it'll be Giles.
Giles did start a preseason game against the Stampeders. 2nd and 10. Over the middle. Ball is caught, but quick closer Milton Collins takes down Chris Getzlaf, who has been the favorite receiver so far tonight for Saskatchewan.
And there is maybe the all-star free safety in the Canadian Football League, and I know it's early, but an early front runner, as Collins comes up, he has put his shoulder pads a bunch of times on those hits, but Darian Durant will wait a couple of series and give Stephen Giles an opportunity.
Titus Ryan drops back for Calgary, and Jamie Borum's going to have to deal with this win now. Kicking into the teeth of it. And does get hung up, and on the run, Ryan let it bounce on the carpet, but did draw the no yards flags with that hustle, and that'll be a 15-yard penalty against the Roughriders. Great field position for Calgary when we come back.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Molson Canadian. This is our beer.
It's not a big play, a big return, I should say, by Titus Ryan, but it's a big play because he catches that football in the air, and when he does, he catches James Patrick in the 5-yard zone, and that's a 15-yard penalty when you catch the ball on the fly. If it hits the ground, it's only 5 yards.
The Stampeders have a short field. They'll start at the Saskatchewan 45-yard line. Last week against BC, their average start was their own 52. Played on a short field all night against the Lions in that 48-10 drubbing. Long out, look out. The ball is caught. There's Copeland with the catch.
I mentioned that unorthodox defense for Gary Etcheverry and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and it has fooled some people. They line up differently, but eventually they filled the gap. So that's why they had success early. What they have done now is offenses have picked up on it and got some blocking angles. For instance, if you block in the run game here, you can pick off 3 defensive players and open up a hole for your running back. So as offensive coordinators and George Cortez start to figure out Gary Etcheverry's system, they've had a little bit more success.
Joffrey Reynolds tripped up as he hit the line of scrimmage. Feet got tangled up. But on 2nd and short, that should be enough to move the chains.
See, when you line up like 3 guys in the middle like that, like we've seen here from Saskatchewan even in this game, then sometimes it only takes 1 guy to block 1 or 2, maybe even 3 if you get lucky. Reynolds has had some success running. But boy, was it ever successful early on for the Riders on defense. 11 sacks in their first 2 games out of that kind of formation.
Through 4 weeks, though, they've given up 196 more yards on the ground than a year ago at the same time. And on the ground again, Reynolds ran through a tackle and crashes down to the 27. Running back who passed Willie Burton last week on the all-time Stampeder list and came into this game 136 away from passing Lavelle Coleman for 3rd all-time.
And he may get it here this evening. He's running well. It was his 20th 100-yard game in his career a week ago, 8.5-yard average.
5 of those 100-yard games have come against the green and white. Burris taking a long look and then threw it away.
Really only had 1 receiver over there because he was flushed into the short side of the field, and that receiver was Ryan Thelwell. So he looks over there, Henry Burris, and he sees Thelwell. Now Thelwell's going to end up going one-on-one here with Omar Morgan, who's back there playing corner on the top of your screen. So see, Thelwell now gets doubled. Davis is there, Morgan is there, and Henry Burris says, no, that's too risky, and throws it up into row 6.
Had a conversation with Teo Johnson at the end of that play, so you wonder if not everybody was on the same page. DeAngelis comes on to attempt his 12th field goal of the year. This from 35 out into a swirling wind, or with the swirling wind. Doesn't matter. Good again. Sandro on target. 6-point Stamp lead. Wendy's Friday Night Football continues next week on TSN. Doubleheader action. Game 1, the Argonauts take on the Alouettes. And in Game 2, it's the Roughriders and the Lions in Vancouver. Live coverage kicks off at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific next Friday. Wendy's Friday Night Football. DeAngelis skips it a boot. And Walker will let it sail right through. No point. And the Roughriders will scrimmage at their 25.
Mentioned in the first quarter, Dwight Anderson and Devonzo Tate a week ago getting into it. 2 teammates after a BC touchdown, and I talked to Dwight Anderson about this play, and he said it was actually the play before they were arguing about. Now, John Huffnagel told me that Dwight Anderson is a guy that plays right on the edge. He plays aggressively. He sometimes gets in his teammates' chili a little bit, but he said this is just kids being kids when they went to the sideline. By the time they got to the sideline, they had kissed and made up. But I like the way that John Huffnagel talked about it. He said, Dwight Anderson, yes, is on the edge, but I'd rather pull him back from that edge occasionally through a season than have to push a player to get to that edge. He likes the aggressive demeanor from Dwight Anderson.
Giles stays in at quarterback for his second series and can't hook up with Wes Cates out of the backfield. Seems like they got away from some early success with Wes Cates on the ground.
And especially into this win, they should go there. Ken Miller, you know, he told us he'd do this. And when I asked Giles, I said, how would you categorize you as a quarterback and your style and Darian Durant? And he actually put it quite well to me. He said, well, I think I would be a pocket passer that can run, and Darian Durant is a scrambler that can throw.
Maybe 6.
Second and 10. Under 5 minutes left, first half. And Giles does have a completion close to a first down. And there is Wes Cates. Dropped at the 35-yard line, and that's where he had to get to move the chains.
You know, there's quite a few good running backs when you talk about catching the football out of the backfield in the league. But is there a better one than Wes Cates? I just think that when they get him in the passing game, he becomes a dual threat, because now he can run not only swing passes out of the backfield. That's what you usually see from the running back position. Little screens, swing passes, little 5-6 yard throws, maybe a crosser. But for Cates, he can run corner routes. He can get deep. He can catch the ball over his shoulder like a receiver would. And both Darian Durant and Stephen Giles have tremendous confidence in Wes Cates when it comes to catching the ball. They feel like he is a receiver out there.
They come up chain link or too short. And so on third down, Jeremy O'Day, Gene Makowski, Mark Bronto, and the big boys try and create a path for Giles, who's usually in on those short yardage situations anyway. And a fresh set of downs for a Rough Rider team that needs it.
And Stephen Giles needs Wes Cates. They work together. I asked him, any concerns? Could this create any animosity between the two of you? And they both told me in separate situations, absolutely not. When Stephen Giles is in there, I will help him. I'll be the eyes on the sideline, an extra set of eyes for him.
I'd say the Rough Riders were sharp out of the gate, but have slowed down. And now Cates looking off the left side, up to the 41-yard line for Wes Cates, and Dwayne Carpenter on the tackle.
It's going to be very tough, though, for Stephen Giles to push the ball past sort of the 15 to 20-yard mark. That means more Wes Cates, more of that quick passing game. We saw George Cortez run it when his offense had the ball. Now it'll be up to Paul LaPolice, the offensive coordinator for Saskatchewan, to run similar type of plays. Just too tough to throw into that strong wind.
36.
Keon Raymond has checked in for Trey Blackman on the Stampeder defense. Three-man rush for Calgary. Giles has an open rusted rush on a first down and across midfield. Edged out by Brandon Browner at the Calgary 53.
And this is the quick passing game, the short passing game that I'm talking about, as Weston Dressler is right there, and he's going to be the short crosser. There was a deeper one from the opposite side in Getzlaff. You see him cross right in the middle of the field in the formation, and then he catches it on the sideline. Nice first down.
Dressler just one catch for 7 yards last week against Edmonton, but Ken Miller quick to point out he also drew 3 pass interference calls last week. Giles has the moving. This time the fake to Cates on a roll. It's opened up, and he'll take off and run through it. First down. Oh, how did Dwight Anderson miss? Away from Stephen Giles when you thought we'd hear a Richter scale hit.
Well, maybe Dwight Anderson was thinking that Stephen Giles might hook slide, so he just sort of let up a little bit at the point of attack or the point of impact. But a good decision by Giles to run into this wind and take off, and there as he slips that hit.
16-yard run. The Rough Riders are moving the football. 3-minute warning in Calgary. 2:35 away from Rona at the half. Dave Randorf along with Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stiegel, and Chris Schultz will weigh in on what they've seen in this first half of football, this Western Division clash of rivals. 6-point Calgary lead, but Roughriders have a first down after that 16-yard run, and completion here to Jason Claremont. And did he put the ball on the carpet, the pile up there? And it looks like Saskatchewan still has the football. Riders telling us that Claremont had a good week and they're intent on getting him more involved in this offense.
Well, he slimmed down a little bit from his time in BC. He played about 235 with the Lions, that inside spot. He's now around 215, 218, trying to work into the new offense, new quarterbacks, and they're switching those quarterbacks, as you can see.
7 for Claremont. 2nd and 3. Cates right side, cut back. Matt Grunigan brings him down, but it's a first down for Wes Cates.
Let's go right. Roughriders. Sorry, Chris. Let's go right back to that Stephen Giles. A little play action he got outside, and that hit that Dwight Anderson had him lined up, and he was going to lower the boom. And Giles able to slip that one, and that was a key first down in this drive.
Missed him by that much.
36.
Well, Giles settling in here. 1st and 10. Here's Kate straight ahead. And they'll push the pile inside the 20, almost to the 17. So close to 9 for Wes Cates. And they go back to the guy who they wanted to get going tonight. It looked like he was on form early. And now pivotal in this drive.
Last year, by week 5, Wes Cates was halfway to 1,000 yards. I was talking about him, and I know a lot of people were, as an outstanding player candidate at Labor Day. And he was injured.
Only 7 touches last week. Busier so far tonight. 2nd and short. Cates the ball carrier, and he is run down short. Did he have enough?
Maybe a bit short, but even if he is, it's in that area where you could go ahead and try and get it. Ken Miller's going to want to know exactly how far he has to get. But Wes Cates, his production and the reason for the meeting between he and Ken Miller this week was because of the numbers you see to the right column. And I know he's coming off of camp, and he was injured in training camp, so missed the first game, but you could see that average drop drastically in 2009, and looks like we're seeing a lot more of the 2008 version of Wes Cates. Ken Miller wants a timeout.
I think he wants a little longer to weigh in here. He sent Luke Kakanji onto the field. It's 3rd and 1.5 yards,
Timeout.
it appears.
Saskatchewan.
Field goal team came on, and I think there might have been some lobbying that maybe they should have reconsider the decision. Well, it's over 1 yard based on where the chain is marked.
Heads up by Ken Miller to call a timeout. I'm not sure if it's official or not, but you think the Argos would have liked to have called a timeout?
Hard to believe that the 47-yard winning field goal did not count because of a time count violation today.
Yeah, and I say unofficial because I'm not sure if they had a timeout late, but I think they did.
Well, Giles comes back on. So Kanji initially came onto the field. They call the timeout, they reconsider, and now they go 3rd and 1 yard. And Wes Cates lunges and has it. He got it down to the 15-yard line. And he'll move the chains, and the Roughrider fans celebrate.
And this is fun to watch because Wes Cates goes over the top, but he doesn't stop his feet from churning. Usually when a running back goes over the top like this, he kind of just dives. Watch Cates, he's still running. He's in air, he's running on the back of offensive linemen. He doesn't care. He gets about a half yard more than he needed, and a first down to move the chains for the Riders. And Brandon Brown with another big hit.
Cates up to 85 yards. They go 2 back. Sarka leads the way. Cates trying to get outside and caught from behind. Good defensive play by the speedy defensive end, Juwan Simpson, who was out of the lineup last week, but checks back in with a big defensive play.
With speed by Juwan Simpson to be able to fly to the outside. Jason Claremont's going to try and block him, lines up as a tight end. He hustles down the line, actually goes behind Claremont and the block, and has still got the speed to get there and make the hit.
76.
Claremont in motion. No gain, so it's 2nd and 10. Flag down. Giles flushed. Now throws end zone and out of bounds, incomplete. Let's see what the flag's all about. Looked like one of the Rough Rider receivers might have been ahead of the snap.
Yeah, and I saw Jawan.
Offside. Calgary, number 42. 5-yard penalty. Repeat. 2nd down.
No, it's Mike Labinjo, the defensive tackle, that gives Saskatchewan another down.
Aggressive man-to-man defense underneath. Labinjo right there. He's actually lined up in the neutral zone. And then moves before the snap as well.
5-yard penalty, 2nd and 5. From the 10. Dressler in the backfield. Now he swings out, takes the pass, trying to get to the edge. And Dwight Anderson with the play. Big play by the corner, who has an interception and prevents a Saskatchewan first down.
John Hufnagel said, I'd rather pull him back from the edge than have to push him to the edge. And Dwight Anderson plays this one on the edge, and this is the aggressive play that Hufnagel loves about Dwight Anderson. There's a lot of field either side of Weston Dressler there for him to make a move. That's a super open field tackle by Anderson.
5 seconds left in the first half. Kanji trying to cut the lead in half.
And we're going to have to nail everything down
Timeout.
at halftime.
Calgary.
We almost lost a few monitors, a few of our cheat notes, but so far it seems to be blowing around us.
Timer.
Budstein wants to fix the clock. And Ken Miller will have a dilemma. Who do you start in the second half after that impressive drive by Stephen Giles?
Well, the plan was to allow Darian Durant to watch a few series from the sideline and then go back.
Kanji from the 18. Up and through. And that will be the final play of the opening half here at McMahon. And it was a good first half of football. Stampeders with a 3-point lead.
Live at the half is brought to you by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, doing it right since 1939.
A lot less wind here in the studio. Dave Randorf, Chris Schultz, Matt Dunnigan, and Milt Stiegel. Nobody's hair is blowing around. Well, at least 3 of us. But anyway, a good game, 13-10. Saskatchewan starts with a strong drive, scoring a touchdown. They finish with a field goal. We got ourselves a 3-point ball game here. 2 touchdowns in the game from guys who don't often get into the end zone, and Chris Getzlaff and John Cornish. Now, the story we want to start with is the Saskatchewan quarterback situation. As promised, Ken Miller said he was going to go to Giles. He did, despite pretty good start by Durant in the opener.
Durant tried to topsy-turvy that right off the bat. He goes 4 for 4, and he comes out hot, and he's directing this football team like he knows what he's doing. And, you know, you look at Darian Durant, he's had just about 250 pass attempts in his career. That's not many for a young quarterback, but he looked like a veteran here on his first drive, taking the crowd out of it at McMahon Stadium. And he just uses his legs, a strong arm. He hits our man right there, Getzlaff, for his first catch of the night. Nice play fake to Wes Cates, why not? Got the run game going, and Getzlaff gets his 3rd touchdown catch of the year. But Ken Miller topsy-turvied it on him. He said, no, I'm staying true to my word, putting Stephen Giles in. Funny look from Durant on the sidelines, but then very shortly after this run here, Giles goes to the sideline, has a little conversation, and he's back on track. So after the initial shock of being pulled after playing so well, he comes to grips with it. And to me, this is a good sign for this football team because this very well could cause a lot of controversy that Ken Miller doesn't want.
Maddie, do you have any idea what we're going to see in terms of a rotation in the second half?
No,
do you have any
probably
feel?
See Dalton Bell as far as the way this is going. You know, the 13 guy. I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, Schultz, you're playing good left tackle, but, buddy, I'm going to put somebody else in there.
Oh!
I don't get
Milt, what about the defensive side of the ball?
Well, a defensive player, and I've been praising him all year long, who needs to come up big and continue playing big is Stevie Baggs.
Your boy.
Stevie Baggs, that's my son right there. So he needs to come up. But the thing I want to do is I want to show you something that Stevie Baggs hasn't been playing well. And nobody's perfect, but Stevie Baggs, he's making great plays. You look at this play. Great read by Stevie Baggs. He almost comes up with an interception. And this young boys, you watch this play. This is why you never give up on the play. If you hustle, you will make big plays. But then Stevie Baggs, Stevie Baggs not perfect. After this play, Stevie Baggs, watch out, tie your shoes, Stevie Baggs. Stevie Baggs is not perfect, but something he needs to do is come up big in the second half. If you check the stats, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have been outscored 87-22. And if they continue that play, I don't care how Stevie Baggs is playing, it won't work. So he has to come up big in the second half if they want to win this game.
Well, guys, you know, very good players win football games, no doubt about it, but well-designed plays that create a defensive hesitation, that allows those very good players to do what they do very well on the football field. First, let's take a look at a Paul LaPolice play. This is great. See Western Dressler right there, the fake, he's heading to the east. Now the two guards, they're heading to the west. Darian Durant, he's north, and there goes Wes Cates, and he's heading south. Well-designed play that creates hesitation. Now, George Cortez, this is great. Now, this is just a little fake right there to Joffrey Reynolds. It creates that hesitation in the linebackers. Nice short pass to Cornish, and he ends up getting into the end zone. But so critical about that was the play before. The play before that play, that was when Reynolds took the ball, went 40 yards down the field. So if I'm a linebacker, a secondary guy, and I see that fake to the guy that just burned me for 40 yards, what do you think I'm going to do, Dave? I'm going to try to tackle him.
That's right, hit him.
Hit him.
Topsy-turvy. Put him down.
Yes.
That's right. Milt brought out the startling statistic about Saskatchewan in the second half. Outscored 87-22. First downs have been hard to come by, and they are trailing by 3 against the champs at McMahon.
Fake to Cates, who provides a block into the end zone. Touchdown! Wes Cates wide open, still going. That zone read play action fake deep. Ryan Dowell's got it. This time they fake it, and here's John Curtis, touchdown. Yeah, baby.
And here are your halftime numbers brought to you by Tim Hortons, always fresh. Here he is, the blueprints, Milt Stegall.
Well, you look at this game, and the stats are pretty even, and you're talking about balance for Saskatchewan. 100 yards passing, 101 yards passing, 103 yards rushing. But something they have to discontinue is this if they don't want to create more of this. So we'll see what happens this second half.
Nice, Milt. Nice. Here's John Huffnagel, who's got the 3-point lead. He just spoke with Jermaine Franklin.
Coach Huffnagel, this was the kind of game that you said you expected yesterday. Can you talk a little bit about the play of your offense? Are you happy with their production?
I was glad to see them moving the ball after the first couple of series. Took a while for us to get started, but we got to finish those 2 drives. We were in a great position to score touchdowns, and we stopped ourselves.
And on the other side of the ball, the defense came up with a big stand despite giving Saskatchewan another chance at the end there.
And we can't do that. You know, and defensively, Dwight Anderson came up with a great interception to stop that tide in the first quarter. We were able to go down and get a touchdown, but we can't be giving teams second chances.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Referring to those 2 field goals they scored in the second quarter, 13-10. This isn't the only game that was played today to wrap up week number 5. There was a game in Toronto, Winnipeg at the Argos, and Holly Horton is here to tell us about that. Hello, Holly.
Hello, guys. Hello again, I should say. Yes, the Bombers have a new quarterback. The Argos know him pretty well. Michael Bishop making his Bombers debut on Saturday, and what better place to do it than in Toronto, facing his former team. Bishop on the move in the first, drops a beauty to Terrence Edwards in the end zone. Bishop finished with 213 yards in the air at 7-0 Winnipeg. Fourth quarter, Toronto down 1 with a chance to win it from 57 yards out, but Justin Medlock hits the upright, and the Bombers will hang on to win 13-12. Jays and A's from Oakland, top 2. Lyle Overbay crushing a solo shot to straightaway center field. His 11th of the year opens the scoring, but it is now 4-3 Athletics, top of the third. Coming up on SportsCenter with myself and Brian Mudrick, we will have the complete CFL story. Tiger charging up the lead.
TSN is the exclusive broadcaster of the Canadian Football League and proud home of the Grey Cup. We're at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. 3-point Stampeder lead as we head to the third quarter. But first, Jermaine Franklin and Saskatchewan coach Ken Miller.
Coach Miller, how would you assess the play of both quarterbacks and who will be starting for the third quarter?
Well, they have both done reasonably well. That was a nice drive there in the second quarter by Stephen Giles. But we're going to stay with our plan, and Darian is going to start for us here in the third quarter.
In terms of the offense, seems to be very successful when Wes Cates gets the ball a lot, 85 yards rushing. Can you talk about his performance so far?
Wes Cates is doing a fine job. We need to get to him a little bit more often now.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you.
So they stick with the plan, even though Stephen Giles might have given Ken Miller something to think about with that good drive to end the second quarter.
Yeah, and you know, I sort of support this plan from Ken Miller. I know Matt Dunnigan talked at halftime about the fact that it can be unsettling for a quarterback to think he's going to come out and have to go back in and try and get the rhythm, etc. But that's, of course, coming from a quarterback in Matty that never wanted to come out of the game.
Right.
And, you know, Ken Miller told us yesterday that he wants to develop both of these quarterbacks, and this is part of the process. He also feels that Darian Durant can learn some different perspective and learn some things from the sideline for a few series. Hey, I grew up in a system with Kent Austin and Tom Burgess that it worked pretty well. And they did that often where Kent would start, Tom Burgess would go in for 3 or 4 series. Kent would watch from the sideline and then return to the game, just like Ken Miller's doing here.
And neither probably loved it, but it did work. As
it can work.
As evidenced by a 1989 reunion last weekend.
Well, you know, I didn't want to bring it up again, but okay.
You were in remarkable form, considering that was less than a week ago. Second half underway. Gerard Walker. Heavy hit there as John Cornish, who has the Calgary touchdown, makes the tackle. And some last moment words from Jamie Barisi for Darian Durant.
And here comes those special teams hits. John Cornish.
But Darian Durant did get out of the gate quickly. He 4 for 4, but he was also 2 of his last 5 for 18 yards. Takes the Cates. Looks downfield, and a flag on the play. Chris Getzlaff got tied up there with the cover man, Ronnie Amati. And Amati's going to draw the flag.
Corner route, and it wasn't just one flag, there were 3. Here comes Getzlaff, little change motion, meaning one receiver crosses another as they hit the line of scrimmage. That chuck's okay, but that grab with both hands around the waist, no question, pass interference there.
Pass interference. Calgary number 40. It's a 10-yard penalty, an automatic first down.
Take a look at the quarterback numbers from the first half for both Stephen Giles and Darian Durant. And you can see he started that 4-4 and then slowed down. Durant did in the second. Giles comes in, and he had to face that 50-kilometer gusting wind when he played.
First down by penalty. And that one almost picked off the hands of Brandon Browner.
You know, and another thing with Ken Miller's decision here to put Darian Durant in this quarter with the wind at his back. Now it's let up a little bit, but Stephen Giles has a bit of a stronger arm than Darian Durant. Again, Giles more, he even said, as a pocket passer who has the ability to run. That one just a little in front of bag and almost cost him, but a little stronger arm. He can go into that wind a little bit better than Durant.
So second and long, 2nd and 10, empty backfield, pressure on, and Darian Durant tossed down. Juwan Simpson has the 2nd sack of the game for Calgary.
Lines up right next to Mike Lavinjo. Straight speed rush up to the outside. It looked like a little bit of help from Odell Willis as well. They need the receivers to help them choreograph the celebration a little bit.
Yeah, Copeland has not been counseling them, that's for sure. But they've been getting some practice. And that one The wind takes out of bounds. That'll be a penalty as that ball lands off the playing surface. A minute and a half into the third quarter. So early third quarter, it's a 3-point Calgary lead. Welcome back to McMahon Stadium. A special welcome to Lyndon Rush of the Canadian Olympic men's bobsled team. It's less than 200 days away now. How excited are you getting about Whistler?
Yeah, it's coming up pretty quick. It's kind of cool to think about. We got lots more to think about in the meantime. The World Cup season, but yeah, it's in the back of the mind for sure.
Lyndon, how about your training? What would be a typical week for you?
We train. We get Thursdays and Sundays off, and other days we training usually twice a day, in the morning and in the afternoon. And we do a lot of sprint training. We do a lot of weight training. Train a lot like a sprinter, I guess, with a little more weights.
And is it a little more special in that it is Vancouver this year?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm doing it full time this year. I'm not working at all. I'm just training full time and doing the best I can.
Pilot of the 2-man and the 4-man, so you could compete in more than one event?
Yep.
Get back to Lyndon in a moment, the former University of Saskatchewan Husky. As the Stampeders go to work, and a pass for Jermaine Copeland. Up close to midfield as he's pulled down a first down catch. So we've got a special treat for you. I know the Vanier Cup might have some bad memories, but this is a good one.
Break it down for us, Lyndon. The linebacker, number 44.
I grabbed it and ran, and I thought, oh man, I'm going to score a touchdown.
Lyndon
and then I
rushed, but Dave Stella had other ideas, didn't he?
I got pretty tired. But we got it. Mickelchuk, he hopped on it. Our name was Lambden.
So 5 years at the U of S, correct? And played linebacker the entire time?
Yeah. Yeah, it was great.
So that speed training and aggressive attack style you can take to the bobsled now?
Yeah, bobsled tries to recruit from football quite a bit. Track and field and football, their main recruiting grounds, I guess.
Well, how'd Jesse Lumsden look at training camp?
He was pretty good. He came out to Canadian Championships last spring, and he did really well. Him and Luters actually won the 2-man, and he did better than I thought he would. He surprised some people.
Now, you're a pilot. We'll ask you what that means in a moment, but it's second down and 6 for the Stamps. And Burris has time. He's got Copeland, who couldn't bring it in. A missed opportunity for the Stampeders there. So give us an idea of the pilot's job and maybe a scouting report on the track at Whistler.
Whistler's track is the fastest track in the world. It's really, it's got high speeds and it's quite tight. So we hit over 150 kilometers an hour in the 4-man. We might even hit 150 in the 2-man as well. Wow. And it's you got to be on your toes, that's for sure.
Pilot better be sharp. Listen, we're going to look forward to watching you in Vancouver. Whistler, Lyndon Rush, a native of Humboldt, the University of Saskatchewan Husky, and he was wearing green and white earlier.
Thanks, Lyndon. Good luck in the Olympics.
Jerron Walker gets on it. No yards will be the call. We thank Lyndon Rush. We wish him well, and we'll be back to McMahon. Well, in 6 months, the Vancouver 2010 Olympic Winter Games comes to TSN. Gear up for the games with Olympic alerts and weekly Road to Vancouver athlete profiles on SportsCenter. Just around the corner. Roughrider football after the 5-yard no-yard penalty. At their own 34-yard line, here's Dressler, a little double reverse, flea flicker, and Durant, does he have anybody open? Cates in the flat. A lot of fanciness, and they do end up with a pretty good gain out of it to midfield. 20-yard pickup.
Well, the design of the play is to try and get that ball deep down the field, but the coverage was pretty good deep down. Defensive backs for the Calgary Stampeders did not bite up with all the reverse fakes. They stayed back and were safe, so it forced Darian Durant. Watch the DBs to the right of your screen. They'll sit back, Dwight Anderson. They don't bite on all the fakes and the back and forth, so Durant dumps it off.
To the 54, 2 backs, second man through, Cates stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Jawan Simpson was there. Dwayne Carpenter stepped up. Mike Labinjo was in the hole, and they had a meeting at the Rough Rider running back and a loss of 2.
Well, if recent history is any indication, this is where the Calgary Stampeders take over the football game. can see how third quarters have been very different.
Those numbers are startling, that the Roughriders without a point in the third quarter. And Calgary 50-7 advantage in the third quarter. That was the first 4 weeks. What happens in week 5? Flag down, Dressler. Ronnie Amati, a sure tackle. And the Calgary 51 with the penalty marker on the play.
Milton Collins on the blitz there.
And a penalty going against the Stamps.
Boy, he was free, and he had Darian Durant lined up, took a big hit. Now he'll get the options here from the officials, decide whether or not to take the play or the penalty.
Offside. Calgary number 98. It's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Odell Willis ahead of the play. And again, that's the second time tonight. It looks like one of those linemen lined up offside.
Yeah, he's a stand-up position here, and it looks like maybe that left foot is in the neutral zone. Not by much, but it looked like it was there.
So second down and 7 after the 5-yard penalty. Here comes pressure, dumped off. Great catch. Dressler lunging for the first down stick, and he'll come up, well, just short, it would appear. Devonzo Tate hanging on. Great catch and second effort from Weston Dressler.
Well, it's a routine play, but it certainly isn't a routine catch. Willis up the middle is picked up nicely, but look at how low that ball is. He pulls it off his shoe tops, and then this lunge should get him close, if not get him the first down.
Enough to bring the chains across the field.
And you mentioned one catch. I know the panel talked about Weston Dressler with just one catch in the pregame show, and there it is, first down territory. But you mentioned those 3 pass interference calls that he drew, and those are as good as offensive plays. You get pass interference down the field, in fact, they could be 40, 50, put the ball on the 1-yard line. So he's contributing. Weston Dressler in 20 games in the CFL has become a guy that defenses have to game plan against.
Had a couple 100-yard games against the Stamps last year. First down, Cates, and the middle linebacker, Trey Blackman, tosses him down, the product of Auburn. Couple for Cates.
Some newcomers in this Calgary defense, and it's a young defense. And Ronnie Amati and Devonzo Tate, the halfbacks. You see Trey Blackman, the middle linebacker. He has 13 tackles. They're all contributing, starting to get their feet under him, so to speak. And, of course, we talked about Odell Willis up front.
Blackman comes out in second and long, and Keon Raymond comes in as an extra defensive back. Second and 8. Lots of time. Durant looks for Dressler. Jump ball. And into double coverage. It's broken up. Dwight Anderson and Devonzo Tate both there. And they were on the same page that time.
Dwight Anderson will leave his man here. Pretty heads-up play by the corner. He's right there. He's going to leave his man and fall underneath this corner route by Dressler. You can see him high, just waiting. He's not going to jump. I believe it was Rob Bagg, the wide receiver, and then he can come back and help his halfback out, Devonzo Tate, in that corner route, which is tough to cover from inside position.
Ganji to set up a 51-yarder. Watched him earlier before the game in practice, and he practices from 52 out, and range was not an issue. And now the wind at his back. But that one not well struck. And Ryan's going to bring it out. And Stevie Baggs pushes him out at the 13-yard line. A miss for Ganji. Still a 3-point game.
Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport.
So just over 8 minutes left, third quarter. That little gale seems to be going around us. Not as bad as it was in the second quarter, but still a factor as Burris and the Stamps work into that breeze here in the third quarter. First down, and Joffrey Reynolds, left side, runs through one tackle, brought down at the 19-yard line, close to 6.
go back to that field goal attempt by Luka Kanji because it looked like he mishit it, but when we showed it back again and took another look at it, it was Odell Willis right in the middle of your screen who gets his left hand on it and basically blocks the field goal attempt, pushes it wide. The other challenge for Luka Kanji was the fact he got the laces from his holder, Rob Bag.
Boy, Willis has made a lot of plays in a short time. 2nd and 4, and stuffed as Reynolds. Tried to spin off Ray Williams, but he'll be short. And it's a 2-and-out, just what the Rough Rider defense ordered.
Well, and they have to have that sense of urgency, Chris, in this third quarter because they have the wind at their back right now. So they want to try and rack up as many points that they can in this quarter. And then they'll have to fight the wind and the Stampeders in the fourth.
Ray Williams with 9 tackles last week, but tied for 2nd coming into week 5 in the tackle department. Jerron Walker stands at the Saskatchewan 50. Burke Dales with a good kick into that wind. Browner within that 5-yard restraining area. So the flag is down, and down goes Walker. So a 5-yard, no yards upcoming. Let's join Jermaine Franklin.
Thanks, Chris. Offensive lineman for the Riders, Gene Mikowski, missed the first 4 games due to a knee injury suffered in the 2nd preseason game. Now, Mikowski is sporting a brace on his injured knee, but he said it should be just fine, and it looks like it is so far. But when I asked Mikowski whether he was coming back a little bit early because of what the team was under, losing 2 straight, and if he was 100%, he just looked at me and said, I haven't been 100% since I was 18 years old.
Only Roger Aldag and Ron Lancaster played more games for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the big number 60.
Play any position on that O-line. Stabilizing factor. Veteran presence.
4th different O-line for the Roughriders in 5 games. Darian Durant at the controls on a roll. Downfield and wide open. Johnny Quinn has his first catch of the night. To the Stampeder 24-yard line.
Darian Durant is at his best on the full roll. A busted coverage for the Calgary Stampeders. For Quinn to get this wide open, as you can see his ability to throw on the run. He had Tom Johnson tracking him down. Durant puts it out there.
38 yards for Quinn, who had just 1 catch for 10 coming into this game. First down pressure, and that ball caught by Dressler, who can't get away. Shannon James hangs on long enough.
Well, and he hesitated there, but you have to give Shannon James a little bit of leeway because he's all taped up. He's hanging in there. During the week, he had a freak accident in practice where he was just covering a kick, and they were basically going 3/4 speed, and he rolled his ankle, and you can see the hesitation. If he's at his best, he might have jumped that one.
He was not expected to play. Game time decision to come back from that ankle roll from 3 days ago. 2nd down, and they convert. Here's Dressler to the sideline, touchdown. Weston Dressler and the Roughriders have the lead.
Calgary Stampeders tried to send some pressure from Dwayne Carpenter, the linebacker. And when they do, it's going to be this man right here. It's Wes Cates who steps up and makes the key block. If he doesn't get there and slow Carpenter down, Darian Durant can't get the ball out of there. He does because of that block, and Dressler walks in.
Back-to-back receptions, almost broke the tackle the first time, and on that last catch he does, and finds the end zone, his 2nd touchdown of the season. And
hey, if your hair's not happy, you're not.
Gene Mikowski, a big part of that offense, and Dressler, of course, one of the centerpieces. Both factors in that scoring drive, engineered by Darian Durant.
consider his size at 5'7", 179. Just amazing. Such a small football player makes so many big plays.
Came into this game 5th in receiving in the CFL. Dwayne Carpenter shaking up on the play. He's getting attention from Pat Clayton as they check his right leg.
Well, he makes the play, Chris. Dwayne Carpenter coming off the edge makes the play, if not for Wes Cates. Cates got up there and cut him down in the blitz pickup.
Take a look at that Wes Cates block one more time.
There he is right there, sliding across. Now look at the throwing lane. He is right in the throwing lane. Durant does have to adjust it anyway, but you can see if he doesn't get that block, if Cates doesn't get there, Durant gets the helmet right in the 4.
Carpenter looks like he'll be okay, and Luka Kanji puts it through. It's a 4-point Saskatchewan lead. Just under 5 minutes left here in the third quarter.
Early on, I mentioned what change motion is for receivers. Go ahead and run it, guys. I'll show you what change motion can do to defensive backs. Here comes Dressler and Walker. Stop it there. There they are right there. Now watch how it freezes Brandon Browner and Devonzo Tate. They have to wait to see which receiver is going to go out and Browner will take and which one Walker gets. And when they do that, they're a little bit late. That's why Browner misses the tackle and Dressler finds pay dirt.
Dressler, a good job to maintain his balance. Find the end zone. Gives Saskatchewan the lead, 17-13. First Saskatchewan third quarter points of the year. And that blast through the end zone, and Calgary will scrimmage at their 25.
Sometimes, Chris, you can get an advantage offensively before you even snap the ball. And that's really what happened on that offensive play. The movement in motion by Walker and Dressler caused problems. Now Burris has to find an answer.
Stampeders offense has gone quiet. 164 yards for Burris is one more than last week. Believe it or not. 163 yards of passing offense for Burris and 48 points on the board. They had great field position all night. Not the same tonight. Looking downfield and now in trouble. Ray Williams trying to trap him. The long throw, it's complete for a short gain to Joffrey Reynolds, the safety valve on the far side of the field.
Yeah, I talked to the defensive secondary coach for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Nelson Martin, a great safety with the BC Lions years ago. He was drafted in 1981, and he said, you know, facing Henry Burris, I tell my guys, you have to defend the entire field because he has a strong enough arm that there is really no backside. You know when we say the backside of a play? For Henry Burris, there's no backside.
2nd and 5. Over the middle and up, busted up, intended for Nick Lewis, but in his hip pocket was Sean Lucas.
17 tackles, he has a sack, and this will be his 4th knockdown. And we're just early in the season. That's a defensive back technique. He stays in his back pedal, doesn't turn his hips, keeps Nick Lewis right in front of him so that he can come out of that break quickly and get his hand on the ball.
So 3:43 remaining. Well, the clock winding down, but still lots of time for the Roughriders with the wind here in the third quarter. Dale sends it downfield at the 43. Dewan Walker brought down immediately as Justin Phillips downfield in a hurry for the Stampeders. Well, for every sack in tonight's game, Purelator donates the quarterback's weight in food to a local food bank. Purelator, where business is going. A couple of sacks for the Stamps tonight and one for the Roughriders.
So Darian Durant is 214, so that's 428 pounds. Burris is 220. There's another 220 pounds.
Don't think he bulked up a little extra for the Purelator folks, but Burris is a little heavier than he had was as a starter a couple years ago. Here's Durant looking downfield for Dressler. Stretched out and unable to bring it in. One of the sacks from Odell Willis, who has become a big factor in a hurry here in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, there's the league leaders. Odell Willis right at the top. Started out the season inside with Mike Rubinjo outside. They moved him out. He's just a guy who loves life.
Playing on defensive end, he thinks he might be as successful as a defensive tackle, and the next three guys on that list all play inside. 2nd and 10. Look one way and back in the hands of Dressler. It's a first down. There is a penalty marker on the play as Dressler's brought down at the stamped 48-yard line. What's the flag all about?
Not sure. Jerron Walker was out there trying to block Brandon Browner. I know that.
This one coming back.
Pass interference. Saskatchewan, number 80. It's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
Ron Walker trying to lead the blocking.
Right up here is where it all starts. It's Brandon Browner up in that familiar press position. You see Walker there, and he makes contact with the ball in the air, knocking Browner off his man, which was Weston Dressler.
Big penalty. Instead of a first down at the Calgary 48, it's 2nd and 20 from back at their 33. And downfield, an open man, Jason Claremont. He's close to a first down, I think. Well, let's find out where they spot it. Looked like he was within a yard of the first down, and he gets a good spot. That should move the chains.
Good catch by Claremont. Durant has time to throw because when you're as good as Odell Willis that we talked about now, you have to start giving him a little extra time, another person on him. So help out your tackle. That's what Wes Cates does with a little chip block there on Odell Willis. That gives Darian Durant some time, and bam, he hits.
What a 2nd down conversion.
Yeah, it's Jason Claremont, a big 2nd down and 2nd and long conversion.
21 yards. And Darian Durant told us yesterday, I know everybody's asking about Claremont. Said we had a good week together. We're starting to develop some chemistry. He's going to be a big part of our offense, and that's as big a play as he's made this year. First down, up near midfield. Into the hands of Cates. Skips across midfield. Tossed ahead. Back down to the 48. And that's 9 for Wes Cates.
Wes Cates, and I don't want to jinx any players, so I'll knock on wood when I say it, but Wes Cates has not fumbled this year. Sure hands, and that's tremendous production on first down. That opens the playbook completely for Darian Durant.
You know, they did not have a 2nd and short all last week against Edmonton. Here they are, 2nd and 1. Wide open playbook, but they go straight ahead, and Cates will give them a fresh set of downs. Gang tackled at the 45 as Wes Cates closes in on a 100-yard game, and Ken Miller's meeting has certainly created some success here.
Well, you knew with Wes Cates, his first couple of games were basically his preseason. He didn't really get a preseason, injured in training camp because of last season's injury, so he really didn't practice. He knew he'd come around.
Roughriders trying to snap a 2-game losing streak and end a 2-game Calgary win streak. Little fake. Now to roll. Weston Dressler's wide open. Wayne Carpenter to the 20, brings him down at the 20. And Darian Durant not affected at all by the quarterback strategy tonight. Big 3rd quarter for the young quarterback of the Roughriders.
And I love that Weston Dressler does not just step out of bounds here. Dressler's right here, and he's going to get that ball on the sideline. When he does, he could have just stepped out of bounds. He had the first down. And look, no way. He's going to fight, and he gets up about 3 more yards because of that second effort.
25 yards. First down at the Calgary 20. Last play, third quarter, batted down. Milton Collins safety blitz. So it'll be 2nd and 10 Saskatchewan when we come back to start the fourth quarter. Third quarter stats brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
I know could be a downside when you platoon your quarterbacks, but when you look at the Saskatchewan Roughriders passing yards and rushing yards combined, they've actually generated more yardage offensively with their 2 quarterbacks compared to Henry Burris for the Calgary Stampeders.
And you wondered how Darian Durant would bounce back after being pulled for a short time in the second quarter. All he does is go 7 for 11 for 137 in the third quarter.
Yeah, and Ken Miller stays with his plan. His plan was to play Giles for a few series. He did that into the wind, and at that time it was a 50-kilometer wind. And Giles kind of held his own and gave Durant a chance to watch from the bench. And when he did watch, he obviously learned some things and had a pretty good third quarter.
So they start the fourth, leading by 4. 2nd and 10 at the Calgary 20. Pressure on Durant. Long throw, and that one draws a flag. Keon Raymond was watching Dressler. They got tangled up. And pass interference called.
Pass interference, Calgary on an uncatchable pass. The result is a 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Well, the crowd doesn't like it because the ball was thrown out of bounds, but there is pass interference on a pass that is not catchable. There's Dressler right there, and he's going to get covered by Keon Raymond going to the outside. Now that jam is fine. Kind of ran up his back a little bit. Now, fans are saying that Dressler took a little dive. Huffnagel doesn't like it.
A drive extender. First down at the 10. Durant pulls. And now, touchdown, Jerron Walker. We better have a look.
Well, was Darian Durant across the line of scrimmage?
I thought he was, and a late flag after the celebration in the end zone. And they'll have to have a look at this. Ball was on the 10, and it looked like he was across that 10-yard stripe.
Legal forward pass.
Yep.
Saskatchewan number 4. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Ball was snapped just in front of the 10-yard line. That's the 10-yard line right there. So now just follow Darian Durant. There's the 10. Ball was across the 10 when he made that forward pass. Illegal forward pass. Don't look at his feet. Look at the football. The football is over that line, and that's the penalty. It's a good call by the officials.
So first and goal. Back at the 20. Here comes the pressure. Dumped off Dressler. Can't bring it in from behind. With Devonzo Tate on his back. So it'll be 2nd and goal from the 20.
Let's go back one more time. I know a lot of times when you see a quarterback rolling and getting close to that line of scrimmage, everyone is focused on his feet. Were his feet over the line, and when you look at Durant's feet, it doesn't really matter here. Look, first of all, his foot is over the line, but that ball is over the 10-yard line, and that's an illegal forward pass.
Drive down, and the play didn't get off. And is that a time count violation?
Boy, and you know, I got to say, the McMahon crowd here is rivaling the type of mosaic atmosphere in this sellout.
Time count violation. Saskatchewan, number 4, 5-yard penalty, repeat, second down.
And that's why, I mean, the crowd is really affecting the play calling now. Ken Miller is trying to get the plays in to Darian Durant. He's trying to call him on the line of scrimmage, or call him in the huddle, I should say, and then get it onto the line of scrimmage. This crowd is turning up the volume, and when they do, it's making him tough to audible.
Now 2nd and goal from the 25. Three-man rush. There's Bagg, and he is cut down at the line of scrimmage. No gain for Rob Bagg. And the field goal unit will have to come on.
And exactly what the Calgary Stampeders wanted defensively. Play strong coverage in the intermediate to deep zones, and then rally to the football when the ball is thrown underneath. And Darian Durant thinking rather than force it into that coverage by Chris Jones, the defensive coordinator, he's going to just take that dump play and put his field goal team on the field to try and get 3 here.
So now into the wind, 33 yards for Kanji. Trying to make it a 7-point lead. Willis got a hand on a longer one. Kanji gets it up and off the upright. Ball is dead. No points. So they thought they had a big touchdown. Called back by penalty. They come away empty. Well, NASCAR action continues on TSN with coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Pennsylvania 500. Live from the Pocono Raceway. Coverage begins at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. 2 minutes into the 4th quarter of a real West Division tussle. Stamps trail by 4. Take over on the 25. Burris rolls, and Ryan Thelwell has another catch. Dropped at the 40, but a first down. Sean Lucas on the tackle.
Veteran Ryan Thelwell is 9 years in the Canadian Football League, and Henry Burris, who would, in drives like this, look to his number 1 man, Kenyon Rambo, who is not in the lineup and won't be the rest of the year. Now it falls on the shoulders of guys like Ryan Thelwell.
Peeking over the sides. Hoping this offense can move without him. Joffrey Reynolds moving the football. Sean Lucas tosses him ahead, but that's a first down run for Joffrey Reynolds.
This is one thing that the Saskatchewan Roughriders defensively are going to have to shore up as this season goes on. They a little porous in the run defense. Joffrey Reynolds, another good hole. If you're getting into the linebacking core and then even deeper into the secondary without being hit, your run defense has got some challenges.
Cates at 99 and Reynolds at 83 on 10 carries so far tonight. First down, 52. Flag down, and that pass incomplete in front of the Calgary bench, intended for Brett Ralph.
This one's coming back. This is a holding, or this is going against Calgary, I should say.
Burris to confer with George Cortez while Bud Steen makes the call.
Holding, Calgary, number 64. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Right tackle Jeff Pilon, the senior stamp.
Well, I think it was late. It was after. You see Pilon right in the middle of your screen on Mullender, and he grabs the back of his jersey when Henry Burris bounces outside.
Take it back 10 at the 42. It's a 1st and 20. 5 receiver set. And Burris steps up. And he's brought down at the 49. There's Ray Williams with another tackle out of his middle linebacker position.
Good pickup running the ball, but Henry Burris in this situation throughout the last couple of years, this is where he has really relied on Kenyon Rambo. So now with Jermaine Jackson, young guy, rookie in the receiving corps, and Titus Ryan, who are still trying to find out how they will work into the offense and trying to learn the throwing motions of a Henry Burris. And Ryan will watch on for a minute with Jackson in the game, but boy, this is where they would lean big time on Kenyon Rambo.
2nd and 12. Burris throws high, flag down. And I'm not sure about this one. Omar Morgan in coverage against Ryan Thelwell. There was some heat being turned up on Henry Burris.
Well, and I'll have to see it. I'm not sure what kind of look we'll have of this. It was
interference. Saskatchewan, number 1, first down.
It didn't seem like much contact by Omar Morgan on Ryan Thelwell. Now, he did have his hands on the back of Thelwell as the ball's arriving. Did he push him past the football? See, I don't see that as interference at all. And there's been a few of these calls over the last couple of games. They got to just let these guys play.
First down after that penalty on a 2nd and 12 incompletion. There's Copeland, and the chains are moving for Calgary now. Another first down to the Saskatchewan 35.
Pretty good drive here getting for Henry Burris as he starts to spread it around. Goes to the wide field this time after going into the short side on the previous play. He's also sprinkled in a little Joffrey Reynolds. And then when you sprinkle him in, that fake to Reynolds means something to the defensive line.
Under 10 minutes left, Taylor Johnson checks in at tight end. Burris, front route. The catch is made, and Donovan Alexander there. They'll mark him out at the 23, but it's another Stampeder first down.
You mentioned Teo Johnson, Chris, and he gets the key block on this play from the tight end spot. There he is right there, and he's going to line up one-on-one on Joe Sykes here. Now, his job is to keep him and basically hook him inside. Now, Sykes will fight to get back out there, but look at how much room Henry Burris has to follow through on that throw.
Sykes replacing the injured John Chick, out with a shoulder problem. Out 2 to 4 weeks. There's Reynolds. John Lucas hanging on and brings him down at the 17.
Tad Cornegay can't believe it. He was coming off the edge there and was in the backfield untouched. But this is what a great running back, and Joffrey Reynolds is a great one, can do to you. Off the edge here, Cornegay's coming this way, and watch how quickly he's in the backfield. He's right there. He could have stopped Reynolds if he gets his hands on him for a loss of 3 or 4. But that little shake gets some positive yards for Calgary from Joffrey.
2nd and 5, and the drive continues. Keeper, Burris, touchdown, Henry Burris. An 18-yard touchdown run. Calgary's got the lead.
Two players in here. We drew this up on the chalkboard for you earlier. It can create offensive angles for the offensive lineman, blocking angles, where you're leaving just one player outside. And if he gets fooled by the fake, you're in trouble defensively.
Extra point is good. And now it's a 3-point lead for the Stamps.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, doing it right since 1939.
18-yard touchdown run, the 40th career touchdown scored by Henry Burris. Gives the Stampeders the lead. Midway through the 4th quarter.
A little bit of experience in that little huddle.
Some guys know a little bit about offense. Mr. Dickinson, Cortez, and Burris. Not going to make it to the back line, yes. And Saskatchewan will start at the 25. Let's take another look at the go-ahead major.
Remember the chalkboard we talked about? Look at the defenders here. 1, 2, 3 in that middle again. Now one blocker can take them out. That's going to be Sumpas, and that leaves Mullender on the outside. Now if he is fooled by the fake, the Riders are in trouble. So that's one block here. Look at how Mullender is now fooled with his eyes on Joffrey Reynolds. He's fooled all the way inside. The corner is there for Burris, and away he goes.
Capping a 9-play, 85-yard drive. The missed field goal of the last Saskatchewan possession looms large. Wes Cates tries to cut back. Gang tackle, penalty marker.
I was wondering if Michael Binjo there, Chris, may have got a face mask.
Yeah. Wasn't sure who, but somebody might have inadvertently got a hand on the grill.
Well, it was the way he turned. He may not have grabbed it. It happened pretty quickly.
Holding, Saskatchewan, number 60.
Oh, it's going the other way.
Repeat, first down.
So the veteran, Gene Mikowski, draws the flag.
Turned him at the end of the play.
Well, first and 20. Back to the 15 with pressure on. Durant steps up, gets away, and takes off. Sliding feet first across the 30. Big gain of 16 to 17 for Darian Durant.
Good timing on the slide for Darian Durant, and on first down after the holding call, you want to make up about half the yardage. Well, Durant knows he's got great presence of mind here to be out there. He knows what the yards he's gained, and that a safe hook slide now, he puts him in second and short.
Well, his counterpart ran one into the end zone to take the lead. That's a big run the other way. Give him a chance to get a drive started here. Here comes the blitz. Over the middle, incomplete. Wes Lysak off the edge, and Durant was rushed.
Well, with this type of blitz from Wes Lysak, you either have to block it up or roll away from it. You see here, there's no backs in the backfield for Durant. Lysak's coming this direction. Now, if Durant is going to roll away, he's got a chance, but he doesn't. He stays in the pocket. Lysak gets there. He feels the pressure and just gets rid of it.
99th CFL game for the University of Manitoba product. Titus Ryan back. The wind has died down. Shouldn't be much of a factor here now for the rest of the game. Not a great punt, though. And off a Stampeder in front, but into the no yards area. Bounced off Jermaine Jackson. But it is Calgary football and a 5-yard flag against Saskatchewan. Tonight's game story brought to you by Molson Canadian. This is our beer.
Well, 4 for 4 was Darian Durant in that very first drive, covered 75 yards. The Stampeders are jumping on the Joffrey train here. Durant comes back in the third, puts together 137 yards passing. Burris just capped off a nice drive to take the lead with a run. And now the Saskatchewan defense desperately needs a 2-and-out.
6:38 left. The ball at midfield. First down, Calgary. Had a great week in the CFL, week number 5. All close games. One of these teams trying to move into a first-place tie in the West with the Edmonton Eskimos. Here's Reynolds off the right side. Gaping hole. James Patrick, the safety, awaits, but that's a big gain for Reynolds. 17 yards.
Same setup, really just isolates one guy. 3 guys in the middle for the Rider defense. That isolates that end. Luke Mullender on the outside. He gets tied up. Pretty good block there. I believe it was Jeff Pilon, and then away goes Reynolds. And is it just me, or does Joffrey Reynolds look faster all of a sudden? Got that corner and accelerated.
Yep, after a slow start. He was 156 yards off last year's pace coming into this game, but as you said, they're riding the Reynolds train tonight. 2 good running backs. Reynolds and Cates both have been at their best tonight. And of course, they were teammates a few years back.
Well, and it's not a coincidence that Joffrey Reynolds is starting to play better with the starting offensive lineman back in the lineup. In fact, the first time they got the starting O-line together in Calgary was versus Toronto in week 3. They won that game, then beat BC with that starting group, and now have the lead on the Riders with 6 minutes to go. So it's not a coincidence that the O-line gets back intact and they have more success.
Sheriff Ryan Thelwell cramped up there. He went down after the play was over. First down, 38-yard line of the Roughriders. Burris going to the air again, wide open. And jolted out is Jermaine Jackson.
You know, one name we haven't talked about, Chris, has been Stevie Baggs, who got off to such a great start, but against this O-line, and again, giving these guys a lot of credit. Let's just number them all right across the board. 5-on-5. Look at Baggs up on the top against Ben Archibald. He keeps him wide, and Henry Burris nice and clean back there.
That front's allowed just 9 sacks so far this season. 1st and 10. John Cornish in the game, trying to get outside. Baggs was staying with him. And a short gain for Cornish, who has a Calgary touchdown on the night.
You know, Stevie Baggs still has some real good numbers. He has an interception, 3 sacks coming in, 2 fumble recoveries. You know, last week versus the Edmonton Eskimos, because of the injury to John Chick, he had to play every single snap. The rotation was changed. Plus, Stevie Baggs plays on the special teams. He covers kicks, so he's running out of gas, and you can see him how hard he's breathing right now.
Another big play. 2nd and 7 from the 18. Burris guns that and incomplete. Big jolt on the receiver. And the drive is snuffed as James Patrick with the breakup on a pass intended for Copeland.
Timing perfect from James Patrick, because this is a fastball from number 1 Henry Burris. Right through the middle, and he puts some heat on it. But look at the timing as James Patrick uses his helmet to knock the ball out of Copeland's hands.
So DeAngelis on to try a 26-yarder. 12 for 12 on the season. He's got a baker's dozen now. At a 6-point Calgary lead with 4:18 on the clock. Well, Tuesday, the boys from the Bronx roll into Toronto as the Blue Jays take on their division rival, the Yankees. Live coverage at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific.
How are they doing?
It's not been a good stretch for the Blue Jays.
Okay. Yeah, forget I asked. Let's move on. Well, we got some kind of finish here tonight, but that was a big field goal from Sandro DeAngelis, because now it means the Riders need a major.
And you look back, and here they were on the 10, a pass to Jerron Walker that looked like a big touchdown called back as Darian Durant was just across the line of scrimmage, and they get pushed back and end up with nothing on the field goal off the upright, which is looming large.
Plenty of time, though. Ken Miller does not have to change his offensive game plan anymore, or yet. He can stay with Wes Cates, keep him involved.
This one not as deep, keeps it in play. And Jerron Walker, John Cornish, a great play on special teams by a backup running back who likes to make his plays on offense.
And one of the great things about being on the teams, yeah, you're not a starter offensively or defensively, but when you're on the teams and you make plays like this, in the meetings during the week, the entire team goes to the special teams meetings. So John Cornish will be able to go, he'll be in there, and the coach will point this one out and say, that's a big play and an important part of the game, and the entire team will be in that room.
4 minutes left, fourth quarter. And the Roughriders start at their own 20. Play action, pressure, and a catch, but not much there as Johnny Quinn hit immediately as Shannon James was on the scene.
Well, and he also had to rush the throw Darian Durant a little bit. Chris Jones, the defensive coordinator's answer to this sort of search play where he's riding Wes Cates a little bit, see what the defense does, and then Durant is bouncing to the outside. Chris Jones is sending linebackers or people from the secondary to keep Darian Durant in the pocket.
Trying to hold their opponents to under 20 for the 3rd straight week. 2nd and 10. And that looked in for Quinn behind the intended target. With Devonzo Tate in coverage, it's a 2-and-out.
No question the Riders have time here to punt the football away. They're not in 3-down territory yet.
But in the field position game, they needed a first down or two.
Well, or they need a big punt here and then a 2-and-out, a quick 2-and-out. But it's too early, though, to gamble on 3rd and 10 and go to 3 downs. You just play 3-down football. It's just too early for that.
Well, still a wind in the face of Jamie Borum, and with that in mind, Titus Ryan standing at midfield, and he'll take the line drive kick, and is dropped at the 48. So Calgary has a great starting position, and they are in the lead. Wendy's Friday Night Football continues next week on TSN. Doubleheader action. It's the Argos and the Alouettes in Montreal, and then we'll see these Roughriders and the 1-4 BC Lions. Did I read that right?
I don't know if Wally Buono's doing it yet, but he must be reaching for the panic button. It must be in the room with him.
I don't think he's ever had one of those, has he? 1st and 10, Calgary at the Roughrider 48. Saskatchewan defense needs to stop. And Reynolds brought down at the 44.
Joe Sykes makes the biggest play of his young career to hold Joffrey Reynolds and limit this gain till 3 or 4. He's going to be to the left of your screen, and this time you see the Riders in a normal set. They're basically spread across that defensive line. 98 there fights off the block and limits the gain to Reynolds. Now, huge play here for the Rider defense. Can't even give up really a field goal because that makes it a 2-possession lead.
Back-to-back 100-yard gains for Joffrey Reynolds at 109 on the night. 2nd and 6. Reynolds here, and he will be stopped short down to the 42. Wind at the back of Sandro DeAngelis as he comes out to attempt a 49-yard field goal in all likelihood.
You know, and some may think that is a bit of a conservative call offensively, but I think John Huffnagel probably looked at this and thought, with the wind at DeAngelis' back, he can make this long field goal attempt, so they're in field goal range. Don't turn the ball over. Don't force it. He makes this kick to 9-point differential.
So from 49 yards out, the guy who hasn't missed yet this year, trying to put this one almost out of reach. And he misses, and Dressler's going to bring it out. Weston Dressler across the 20. Still going. Big return of a missed field goal. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders are still very much in this football game.
All week it'll be that offensive call to Joffrey Reynolds on 2nd and 6 that will be talked about, I'm sure. That makes this a long field goal attempt, but you got to believe that Huffnagel has confidence in Sandro DeAngelis. He just pulled it a little bit wide to the left. How about Weston Dressler, though? Love it at the end of the play. Again, he's tightrope walking the sideline here. Doesn't run out of bounds. Takes a hit, picks up a couple more.
DeAngelis makes the tackle after his first miss of the year, so a 6-point game. And the Roughriders have the ball at the 45-yard line with 92 seconds remaining. And looking downfield for guess who? Incomplete. Weston Dressler, the intended target.
Paul LaPolice wants to get a little more room underneath in this drive. He has enough time to throw the ball underneath and throw it in those intermediate zones, the offensive coordinator, but that play to try a deep ball to Dressler should buy him some room and maybe back off the defensive secondary for the Calgary Stampeders. We'll see.
Second and 10. Here comes the rush. Over the middle for Getzlaff. Who's got it? Chris Getzlaff. Touchdown. His second of the game. The biggest of his life. And maybe for Darian Durant, too.
What a throw from Darian Durant. Getzlaff crosses from the left of the formation. all the way across the field to the right side, and watch, full roll to the left. He pulls up in that tackle pocket and then throws it back to the opposite side of the field, and Getzlaf outruns the angles.
65-yard touchdown. Extra point is through, and it's a 1-point Saskatchewan lead. Couple of touchdowns, and Getzlaf has 5 catches and 101 on the night.
Well, I just love the throw from Darian Durant, Chris, because it's a tough one. He rolls to his left and pulls up. As he pulls up, he's now got to put some touch on this football, get the shoulders around, and drop it across the opposite side of the formation. And Getzlaf in front of Ronnie Amati, and then outruns him to the end zone. This is a pretty throw, folks.
A guy who is pressed into more important service with Andy Fantu's out. They told us a little bit of Fantu's and his ability to get open. Got some toughness like Jason Claremont. And Darian Durant has found a new favorite target. What a night for Chris Getzlaf.
One man's misfortune in Andy Fantu's can be another's opportunity. And Chris Getzlaf is taking advantage of that opportunity, but the only thing the Riders, I'm sure, are thinking right now, and their fans, is did it happen too quickly?
Yeah, there's a lot of time left, but these fans will worry about that in the next minute 15. Titus Ryan brought down at the 33, and it really is bedlam here at McMahon. Fun atmosphere, and 2 Western rivals putting on quite a show.
Well, a second ago we showed you Paul LaPolice, who was up against Chris Jones. Now it's George Cortez's turn, the offensive coordinator. Now he gets to run the X's and O's. He still has plenty of time. He doesn't have to push it too deep. And he's against Gary Echeverry now. He's the other general across the battlefield.
Looking for Jackson, incomplete. Lance Fraser in the neighborhood for the Roughriders on defense.
So Gary Echeverry from his sideline, what he's decided to do, at least on that first down, was to go 1-2, and there'll be one to the left of your screen. 3-man pressure here. Drop everybody else into coverage and try and make Henry Burris thread the needle.
Burris throws incomplete. Look for Brett Ralph and Donovan Alexander, the youngster on the corner. In coverage, it's a holding penalty against the Stampeders.
Boy, that one hits hard. That hits hard, Chris, because that was, again, a 3-man rush.
Holding. Calgary number 68. Penalty is declined. 3rd down.
3rd and 10.
It was against Rob Lazio, the center, and when you have the advantage by 2 men, because it's 5, there's the center, Rob Lazio. It's 5 on 3, and you get the holding call. Although it was tough to see the holding call there.
Scott Schultz. Doesn't matter, it was incomplete. 3rd and 10. Here we go, ball game on the line for Calgary. Minute to go. In the flat, incomplete. It's a turnover on downs.
Last week at Mosaic Stadium, the Saskatchewan Roughriders had an early lead by 22, and it was eaten up by the Edmonton Eskimos, who after the game said it could have been a defining moment, a turning point in their season. Well, if the Riders can eat up this 55 seconds, they may look at this game and that play from Darian Durant to Chris Getzlaf as a turning point in their season.
Thought you were going to tell me we were at Mosaic tonight. Sounds like it right now. .55 seconds, and Saskatchewan just has to hold on to the ball. Wes Cates. And a late hit by Mark Toronto, who was cruising the pile, and now the tempers flare. Labinjo exchanging shoves.
Wes Cates has put together a real good game. The meeting with his head coach, Ken Miller, has paid off. And watch how he has both hands. When he hits that line of scrimmage, he puts the other hand over top the football to protect it. That was the hit that Wes Lysak took exception to, and then Labinjo got into it.
Funny, the momentum in this fourth quarter coming off missed field goals. First Saskatchewan hitting the upright, and everything seemed to be going Calgary's way, and then DeAngelis misses the long field goal attempt. Big return by Dressler, and an even bigger play by Darian Durant to Chris Getzlaff, and Budstein going to sort out these penalties.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan 57. Penalty is applied from the point at the end of the play. It becomes second down.
Now both teams still have a timeout. This is now second and long.
That's costly real estate when you consider that Calgary could get the ball back with a little time left on the clock.
Well, if they could cause a limit the gain or cause an incompletion here, John Huffnagel could stop the clock with a timeout, and Saskatchewan is out of field goal range right now. They weren't a moment ago.
So second and 21. Give to Cates. Juwan Simpson will wrap him up. 45 seconds left.
Boy, because Henry Burris may get another chance here.
Yeah, that penalty took them out of field goal range.
That's
Stop the clock, and
Mark Parenteau, that turns into a costly penalty. They were in Saskatchewan basically in field goal. Now, it was wind in their face, and it would have been a long attempt. But had they made it, that becomes now a 4-point lead. Now, Henry Burris is going to get the football. Now, we'll see what the field position is, but he has time.
It shouldn't be great, but he may get 30 seconds, maybe even a little bit more. So it's not done. And it looked like it was a couple of plays ago.
One returner back for Calgary. They may be going after this up front. Try and block this kid.
Titus Ryan at his 10. Borum trying to pin him. From the 9. Brought down at the 22 with 36 seconds left. So a reprieve for the Stampeders. They get one last chance.
3, 4, maybe 4 plays in 36 seconds. John Huffnagel just burned his timeout. So now Henry Burris will have to work the sideline a little bit throughout this 36 seconds. But he needs one of these plays to be a big chunk. 30, 35 yards in that area.
You would think DeAngelis' range would be around midfield. Out of time, and now guns it downfield, and this one incomplete to the Calgary bench. Closest man to it was the speedster Titus Ryan.
One thing that Henry Burris was probably told on the line is, look, Saskatchewan is rushing 3 men. You should have the ability to move around and extend the play. If you can get outside and get a throwing lane, I'm sure Huffnagel said this to Burris, then just be patient. One of those receivers may squeak free in that deep coverage by Gary Echeverry's group.
Need around 40 yards to get it into range. They have 28 seconds to do it. Second and 10. Downfield, open man, and busted up at the last second. Ray Williams in coverage.
That's a big one. That is a big one because he knows it. Henry Burris had him. He had the seam route. He had the matchup he wanted. He had Nick Lewis down the seam on a linebacker who ends up getting great depth in Ray Williams, and what a play the linebacker makes, because that's a matchup Henry Burris will take every time, but he hustles up, gets right in that hip pocket, and is there.
That would have been getting around DeAngelis' range. Statistician Dave Moyer mentions 0 for 6 Burris on his last 6 passes. Downfield to Ball, and this time it will be done. Big defensive play by the kid on the corner, Donovan Alexander.
And Gary Echeverry on this play spies Stevie Baggs. He sends 3, but he spies Baggs so that if Burris sneaks out, he doesn't have all day. Watch, go ahead and run it here, guys. This is a smart play by Gary Echeverry to hold off Baggs. If you freeze it there, look at this. Baggs right there. Now he forces a quicker throw to Burris. He runs out of options, and that's why there's a chance for Donovan Alexander on the outside.
That reaction tells you everything, and now they will be able to run it out. Donovan Alexander did push-ups, thought he should have had the interception. I don't think anybody on that Saskatchewan bench will be upset that he didn't catch that one.
And Ken Miller at the media conference discussing openly and honestly his quarterback rotation and situation has not cost him a ball game.
You know, he told us that they had a great week, as you often hear coaches, but it couldn't have been a better week for Ken Miller and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They snap a 2-game losing streak in dramatic fashion, and they move into a tie with Edmonton for first place in the CFL West. What a game won on that 65-yard touchdown pass from Durant to Chris Getzlaff. The final score, Saskatchewan 24, Calgary 23. Hope you enjoyed it. So long from McMahon. Sports Center next.